was bell hopping at the Roosevelt Hotel, where old Huey P. and the boys were living so well. One day I said, "Excuse me, Governor, why don't you tip?" And he just smiled at me and he said, "That's politics. That's politics.
That's politics.
That's politics.
That's politics.
That's politics.
That's politics.
Ain't gonna be no dirty tricks. You know you wanna get your ticket fixed. Oh, that's politics."
Welcome back to That's Politics. I'm Bernie Cyrus, your host. We have a fabulous show again for you today. Today we have Public Service Commissioner Eric Scametta and also former Public Service Commissioner Jay Blossman, who will be interviewing him about the important things about our energy resources here in Louisiana. We also go back with Jeff Crouere and Frank Diperi in the old shakedown of Yorktown, where we talk about how basically the politicians there maneuvered for their own greed, probably, like usual, and go over how they were ripped off from a big project that unfortunately is going to end up in court probably. So we'll cover that story, and then we'll do the wrap-up with Jeff Crouere and myself, where we'll talk about the funky side. So we'll have the good, the bad, and the funky, as usual. So without any further oop ado, let's watch the show.
Welcome back to That's Politics. I'm Jay Blossman, former member of the Public Service Commission, with Eric Scametta, the current commissioner from District 1. Eric, good to see you.
Nice to see you, Jay. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Great.
Well, look, I know there's a lot going on at the commission, but one of the things I wanted to ask you, this big plant in Plaquemine Parish, LNG, bring us up to speed.
Well, even though the commission doesn't actually regulate LNG export facilities, we regulate pipeline tariffs inside the state. And so we are taking an interest in watching this. This is actually a $20 billion facility, which makes it more than likely the largest private construction project or business project going on in the world right now. And it's the second project from Venture Global. Their other project that was over in western Louisiana was built and already actually paid for already. And this makes Louisiana a powerhouse in the export of liquefied natural gas.
Well, you know, times change, because when I was on the commission, the LNG terminals were for importing gas, and now that has just gone by the wayside. Most, or if not all, are exported now.
Right. That's, you know, when you and I shifted and I took over in 2009, the price of natural gas was almost 10 times what it is now.
Right.
And we were desperate for natural gas, and we were also building coal plants and petcoke plants and other aspects of what to do to offset the cost of energy. So we were hell-bent for leather on finding ways to get more energy into the state. And then just a couple of years later, the scientific geologic technique of fracking came into play, and the economic basically backbone of Louisiana changed.
Well, and that's when you mentioned petcoke. I mean, that was a big deal. That was going to be the latest and greatest technology. Cleco built a big plant, and now petcoke is, you know, looked at and said, wait a minute, we got too cheap of natural gas because of fracking. That's kind of obsolete.
Right. Well, you know, the good thing about it is you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. So, you know, we try to do what we can, but Louisiana is so rich in natural gas. We have a large component of our generation fleet is natural gas. More than 75% of it comes from natural gas. But we also have nuclear, we have some coal, we have some renewables. So, you know, when you put yourself at risk with that much, you know, you're just fingers crossed that we don't have an economic upheaval in one particular fuel source. So I'd like to see the state, you know, spread its risk a little bit more, particularly into nuclear, and then that'll leave a lot more natural gas for export for the state.
Right. Well, that again, it tells you how far times have changed and the technology changes. Because the three forms of fuel we had when I was on the commission is coal, nuclear, and gas. Now you throw in the solar and wind, which, you know, I know Louisiana has a little bit of that, but it's not a big function of the big three. You know,
Right.
coal is about just going away, but I guess is it going to be? What do you think the percentage of wind and solar would even be in the mix?
If you look at it, the wind and solar component is going to be a couple of percentage points within our marketplace in Louisiana. And Louisiana is now in a position to potentially get more nuclear power. We started out about a year and a half ago with our Advanced Nuclear Task Force, which is now operating under the moniker Louisiana Advanced Nuclear Competitive Edge. And we brought together nuclear experts from across the country, and also folks from the Idaho Nuclear Labs, the Wyoming Nuclear Project, and BWXT, and other nuclear resources. And Louisiana has actually led the way into discussion of new nuclear technology across the country. And so now we're finding where it was much of the discussion just a year and a half ago was about how do we manage nuclear spent fuel. The dynamic at our national meetings now is about how are we going to get more nuclear power into the game. And that really has shifted with the 7 largest companies in the world expressing their desire for nuclear power as a non-emitting power source. Companies like Alphabet and Amazon and Meta and NVIDIA and all these companies, they want nuclear power. And so they're driving an economic force of bringing this to the forefront of getting nuclear power. So they've reactivated 3 Mile Island and bringing it back online. They're bringing it in. There's some other power plants in the upper Michigan area that are being brought into play by a company, Constellation, which is a massively big utility company. But Louisiana is in an interesting position because we have these big data centers which are driving the need for this power. And we are in a position, I think, with the new Meta facility up in Richland Parish, which is going to have the largest sort of new natural gas generation be put into play of about 2,200 megawatts, of which Meta is going to be paying for this plant. It's not going to be borne by the ratepayers. That they are also interested in being the primary funding source of a new nuclear power plant for Louisiana.
Well, talking about new nuclear, again, times change over the past 15 or 16 years. I was a big proponent of nuclear because of the cost. You spend the money up front, but the longevity of the power plants are second to none. And but now it's not these giant facilities that might be driving the train. Talk a little bit about the small nuclear reactors,
Sure.
Or whatever the acronym is now, but
Right.
that you're really kind of leading the way, not only in this state, but nationwide
Right.
on this technology.
Right, I've been fortunate to be named the vice chairman of the National Commissioners Association Nuclear Energy Subcommittee. And we're looking at, how do we bring in the smaller reactors that provide the value. When we looked at the reactors of 10 and 20 and 30 years ago, they were in these 1,400 megawatts is the big one, 1,200 megawatts. But the 2 that have been built in the last 30 years are over in Augusta, Georgia, and they are both 1,000 megawatt facilities. And those are probably going to be about the biggest ones we see built now in the future. There are going to be smaller ones coming. Right now, I think Louisiana is in a position to absorb at least one of those size plants. They're called an AP1000. But I think what you're going to start seeing as soon as they get through the design certification is what they call an AP300, which is referred to as a small modular reactor. And those will be clustered in like several units to where when you need to refuel them or deal with them, you're not pulling big resources out of the marketplace to where you got to find a replacement for that.
Yeah.
And so you'll be able to keep power prices more stable during that period. And then we've even got smaller ones that are about the same size as they use on the Navy ships, anywhere from 50 megawatts to 200 megawatts, which are built predominantly by company BWXT. And those are looking at moving into supplying power for special needs issues, for industrial, for the oil industry. and also for the Department of Defense, even smaller ones, they call nuclear batteries down under 50 megawatts.
Well, I tell you, listening to this conversation, I enjoyed my time on the commission, but clearly I was not as educated as you are on the issue. So, you know, it is a political show. I got to ask, there's, you know, some rumors circulating around this Senate race, the U.S. Senate race. Are you interested, or how do you see that playing out?
Well, you know, I've been in service now 17 years in this position. I am term limited. I will finish up at the end of 2026. I'd like to see what the president thinks about this, because I think he's so well thought of in Louisiana that we want to make sure that we get a conservative Republican senator elected in the first go in Louisiana, and we want to make sure that the president is severely happy with who gets in the game.
Well, the first district of the Public Service Commission's got to have as many Republicans as anywhere in the state. So
it's close.
All right.
There's a couple of good spots that we're going to be hitting and talking to folks and making sure they understand the values that conservative Republicans bring to this state.
Thank you, Eric, for coming over to talk to us about the things going on at the Public Service Commission. We'll be back with That's Politics shortly.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And now the latest on the Yorktown Shakedown. Since we last visited, there's an oral understanding with the new Westchester Supreme Court judge concerning the election contribution to the original judge. As you recall from our previous episodes, there was a judge that was disqualified from continuing as a judge of record by the Westchester Supreme Court's clerk's office. In previous episodes, the defense attorney contributed, we talked about that, to the original judge's re-election campaign prior to the start of the case. At the beginning, the original judge wanted to put on the record his relationship with the defense attorney and assured everyone of the ability to fairly judge the evidence presented to him by both parties. RCC Entertainment agreed to stay with this judge, and the case proceeded with this judge wrongly deciding against RCC Entertainment. And that is now where we pick things up with the managing partner of RCC Entertainment, Frank Diperi, who is with us here on our program, That's Politics Today. Hey, Frank.
Hey, how you doing, Jeff?
So we've been covering this now for several episodes, and we want to focus today on the new developments that have occurred since we last gathered. So I know our viewers have been following this shakedown very closely. It's an amazing, horrific story of corruption. And you put your heart and soul into this, and you had people that you were working with that put a lot of money into this.
Yes, that's for
For
sure.
the people, and the whole goal was to provide a quality project for the people of Yorktown, correct?
Correct.
And now, of course, we got these court battles. So fill us in on what some of the latest developments are since we last met.
As it turns out, the big culprit was the defense attorney, because the defense attorney knew he was violating the campaign contribution laws. He should have sanctions against him because he knows better. Judges don't know what the contribution is going to be, who's contributing, until maybe after the election, and then even then it's their clerk or whoever that, you know, this person was okay or whatever. The ability to judge fairly when you know money's coming,
Right.
can buy decisions.
So it taints decisions.
Yes.
You don't believe in the validity of those decisions.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
believe that they're influenced by money.
Money.
So we got problems with the judge and the defense attorney, correct?
Well, the judge, you know, we kind of want to take a little backpedal on, you know, all the judges, they play poker together, they go play golf together,
Right.
They know each other. And yes, the judge was wrong, but who was even the biggest culprit was the defense attorney.
Right.
They knew better.
Right.
They're representing the town. Our biggest dilemma was just being able to be heard and treated fairly. Somebody built what we built.
Right.
The town didn't even know the condition of the property, and
Right.
we discovered it as we went along. But God did smile on us, because the new judge gave us a decision that he thinks that he doesn't want his court to have where there was an impropriety, something that was wrong
Right.
under his watch.
Right.
At a certain point in time, judges, have to get a review, and I guess maybe he's at that age.
And I appreciate this overview. So what is next for this case?
Well, we had talked about do novo, but now it's all going to be thrown out. We're going to start new.
Right.
Maybe we'll have, the opportunity to present our side for the first time and have a voice. And I have to tell you, it's a credit to this show.
Right.
This is a show where you've been wrong. You could come here and you could make a case.
Well, kudos to you and Larry and everyone that has persevered through all of this. And let's hope and pray that you do get justice and the fight continues.
Yes.
So, Frank, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
the overview. We got a lot more That's Politics coming your way. Hang on. We'll be right back.
This is Mr. Montgomery. I met him a few weeks ago in New York.
Oh, how are you? You live here?
Yes.
Well, maybe you know what a zombie is.
When a person dies and is buried, it seems there are certain voodoo priests who have the power to bring him back to life.
How horrible.
It's worse than horrible because a zombie has no will of his own. You see them sometimes walking around blindly with dead eyes, following orders, not knowing what they do, not caring.
You mean like Democrats?
I'm Bernie Cyrus, and welcome back to That's Politics. This is my favorite part of the show. This is where we talk about the funky side of politics. Funky can be good, and it can be a little funky. Welcome back, Jeff Crouere. All right, buddy, how you doing, all right?
Good. Thanks for having me, Bernie.
Well, it's always a pleasure. You know that. We got a lot to talk about. The funky thing is, to me, that the Democratic Party, of which I've been a member of most all my life, has basically switched over to the other side. They used to be the party of the working class. They used to be the party of peace, not war. Now they want war. They support all the wars, these long wars they never stop. They're really not good with U.S. defense. We saw what happened in Afghanistan when Biden pulled out one of the most embarrassing things ever happened to a military, worse than Vietnam or anything I can remember in my lifetime. Now their new thing is that Trump is causing chaos. And why is he causing chaos? Because they're all getting caught. They got their fingers in all these pots, and they're spending money here and there, and they're spending money in the most ridiculous things.
Bernie, back when you were a Democrat, and my dad was a Democrat, and people that were
everybody was a Democrat in Louisiana.
Patriots and Democrats. It was a party of like JFK, the party of Harry Truman, Scoop Jackson, Patriots. They were the party of the working class. The party of peace, the party of free speech, remember? They wanted free speech.
Not anymore.
Now they're the party of censorship, they're the party of the elite, and they're the party of endless war. And they've lost the connection with the majority of Americans. So the working class now are Republicans because Donald Trump was the one that could make that transition. It couldn't have been the Bushes or the McCains or the Romneys. It was Trump who transformed the Republican Party into a working class party.
Trump is a businessman. Mm-hmm. He's built buildings, mega buildings, and he's worked with unions, he's worked with the working people, and he understands them, and he feels comfortable with them. He knows what it's like to start a job and finish the job. Right. Democrats don't. They'll start something and they'll let it keep going.
Well, and he does that from the private sector, because he had all these real estate deals over the years.
Right.
And Democrats are the party of government. And nothing ever gets done in government. We say the scariest words in the English language are, "I'm here from the government and I'm here to help you." And basically that's true.
The embarrassing thing that they've been doing lately is what they did when the president spoke at a joint of Congress, the Senate and the Congress was there, congressman, and they sat on their hands. They couldn't stand up for the young kid who was a cancer survivor. It was. Look, ever since I had my stroke, I'm much more emotional than usually. I was holding back tears during that time. And for the young man who's going to West Point now, his father was a policeman who got killed. And what about the guy who came back from Russia that Trump brought back?
And that was a particularly heartwarming story because his 96-year-old mother had at Butler, Pennsylvania, right before he got shot, told the president about her son. He promised to her then, "I'm going to get your son out." He got the son out of Russia because he cares about our hostages, unlike Biden. And they were there as you say, the DJ Daniel was there, that 13-year-old kid, and you know who else was there? Those mothers of young women that were killed by illegals, and they had such pain. They were there, courageous, representing their loved ones who had been killed. They couldn't even applaud for them.
It's really sad because basically the only thing they applauded for was Ukraine. That's because it looks like before this is all over, Elon Musk is going to be pulling out all kind of kickbacks and money laundering from the money we sent to Ukraine. Where did it all go? And speaking of Ukraine, Zelensky, I supported him. I did a fundraiser for a Ukrainian family. We brought him back from Ukraine here. Their son was living in New Orleans. And it's a beautiful thing with fighting Russians. I mean, they've always been our enemy, right? But this guy, I don't know what he's done with all the money, but he's really, if you look at his background, he's literally a clown. I mean, that's where he made his money. He was a musician too, wasn't he?
He's a comedian. He used to play the piano with interesting body parts.
He didn't play with his hands. He played, played with his genitalia on TV. This is the president of a country now.
He played the president on a comedy show in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And then, he just recently admitted, Bernie, the other day that they've lost $100 billion. So we've given them 200. We don't know where $100 billion went.
Well, I'm sure it went to a few congressmen somewhere along the line. The conservatives love this country, whereas the liberals and the far left, they want you to believe that boys can play against girls.
Well,
they pick all these little minute things that 90% of people are against, and that's what they hang their hat on. They went over the cliff, like I said in the very first show. They're going over the cliff before the election.
They support the Ukrainian flag, but not the American flag. I mean, they don't support the Constitution. They don't support the American way of life. They don't support American families. They're globalists. They want to send, they're all for USAID. They're all for our money going to all these foreign countries. And what Donald Trump is saying is we got to put America first. I mean, we got to take care of our problems, keep our money here, protect our borders. They're for open borders, Bernie.
Even local politicians I used to love Moon Landrieu. I loved the family for a long time. Mitch, he's George Soros all the way. And he's really despondent. And in fact, I'm glad he ran Biden's campaign because Biden got washed. And so him and Cedric to New Orleans.
Do you know, Bernie, that he called Donald Trump a traitor?
I know.
In a recent interview.
He's a traitor, but George Soros is his hero. They want to see America down so he can come in and, like he does other countries, and swoop in like Nathan Rothschild did with the Napoleonic Wars and so forth.
Joe Biden gave George Soros a Medal of Freedom.
Yeah.
The son, Alex Soros, visited the White House 38 times. And I'm thinking, what were they talking about? Who was he talking to? And now we know all those executive orders and bills were signed with an auto pen. Not even Joe Biden. So we don't even know who was signing the legislation, who was signing the executive orders. Who was really in charge, Bernie?
Well, he was a puppet, no doubt about it. They put him there, and when they couldn't stop giving him the lines, he started messing up. That's when they got really crazy, and they had to bring in Kamala. Word salad, she talk in circles and all.
Right.
If she's the leader of the party, they never coming back.
Right.
And who is the leader of the party? Who do they have right now? Hakeem Jeffries.
Here's my prediction. You heard it here first.
All right.
Starting soon is going to be a Michelle Obama podcast.
Yes, with her brother.
Yes, with her brother. So I predict Michelle Obama is going to be the one they're going to turn to try to save the party. Because she would have been if she would have run for the nomination, she would have won.
Yeah, I believe Michelle, but I think Barack, and I came on your radio show and I defended Barack because he went after bin Laden.
Right.
I thought that was a big turn. I knew he had a lot of corruption in his past when he bought the lot in Chicago, and he got this next lot next door free.
Right.
So he wasn't a clean guy from the get-go, but it's politics. That's politics. But that being said, he was pulling the strings on Biden, no doubt about it.
I think he was the puppet master. I think he was the power behind the throne. He was the kingmaker, and of course, he was the one most upset that they went down in flames because he was controlling things. And Kamala Harris, flubs up constantly. So they've really lost a lot of that, and maybe they'll get it back with Michelle. The other one is Gavin Newsom. He might run. Yeah,
well, Gavin Newsom, he's backtracked on the men competing against sports, and they're attacking him for that. That's the thing about the Democrat Party. If you're not with us, you're against us. No matter who you are, they're the fascists. If you don't believe in this crazy thing that we're following, you're a fascist. It's crazy. I will tell you one thing, Jeff. I have a lot of faith in America now. I think, we're in the right direction. I think Trump's leading us in the right direction. I wasn't always a fan of Trump's, but I support him now because he lives by what he says. And that is a very unique thing in politics, but it's naturally important.
And he's the one politician who will fulfill his campaign promises. I mean, so many other politicians lie. If he says something, he's going to fulfill it, and that's refreshing in politics.
Well, this political consultant fulfills my promises. I'm going to tell you, we're going to keep this show going, and we continue to tell you the truth. Thanks for watching That's Politics. Jeff, it's great seeing you again. We'll see you next time. See you later, alligator. Unfortunately, our government finds itself engulfed in a crisis of staggering proportions, tainted by public officials whose corruption is nothing short of unbelievable, leaving our citizens ensnared in a web of deceit. Elon Musk and his team has shown a spotlight on staggering billions of loss to fraud, abuse, and waste, an insidious blight that permeates both sides of the political spectrum, Democrat and Republican. In Congress, Democrats aren't the only players in this game. A tangled web of local, state, and municipal authorities also dip their hands into the public purse. Pocketing kickbacks, they line their own pockets without a hint of accountability. But how do they pull this off? It's all part of an elaborate cover-up. In this clandestine operation, bureaucrats, legal eagles, and even media giants serve as their pawns. Together, they safeguard their own interests, ensuring that their river of dirty money keeps on flowing, unchecked and unchallenged. Throughout my journey in public service, I've witnessed the shadows of corruption looming large. When I dared share light on the truth, I faced repercussions, punished for my honesty until a noble judge restored my faith in justice. The diligent citizens of our nation deserve so much more. This rampant corruption threatens the very fabric of our republic, fueling military conflicts that seem to stretch on indefinitely. This is the true erosion of our democracy, not the courageous whistleblowers who confront the darkness, but those who conspire to conceal it.